Clara's scream echoes through the silence of the apartment, sharp and raw. Her heart pounds in her chest as she stands frozen in the doorway, clutching her young son Ethan tightly to her chest. The weight of betrayal hangs in the air. Her ex-husband, James, storms past her, his face twisted in anger, disappearing down the hallway as the door slams behind him with a deafening crash. Clara's world tilts, her mind racing. Everything she thought was solid, stable, is now in ruins. The sirens grow louder in the distance, a sign of impending chaos, but all she can do is stand there clutching Ethan, unsure of what to do next. What has just happened? How will she protect her child from the storm that is about to follow? In that split second, Clara's past and present collide, and she knows that nothing will ever be the same again. Clara stands in the kitchen, trying to compose herself. She looks at Ethan, who has quietly sat down at the table, his small hands playing with his toy car. She can feel the weight of the world on her shoulders, but she must remain strong for him. The phone rings. Clara hesitates, then answers it. It's Rachel, her best friend, calling to check in. Clara, are you okay? I heard the argument. What happened? Clara's voice cracks, but she keeps it together as best as she can. James, he's gone. I don't know what to do anymore. Rachel's response is filled with concern. We'll figure this out. I'm here for you. But as Clara listens, she wonders if she can really lean on anyone this time. The past is catching up, and she knows that soon it won't just be her heart at stake. It will be Ethan's future too. The hours drag on in silence. Clara sits in the living room, her eyes staring at the door as if waiting for it to open again. But the noise of James slamming it shut still rings in her ears. Ethan, quietly playing, looks up at her every now and then, sensing her unease. Clara forces a smile each time, but the worry in her eyes betrays her. The weight of the situation presses down on her, suffocating her every thought. She knows that James won't come back, but what he left behind, the mess of emotions, the threats and the past, is all too much to handle. She rubs her temples, the migraine setting in. She can't escape the constant tension that hangs in the apartment, and she knows this fight is far from over. But there's no turning back now. For Ethan, she has to keep fighting. The tears threaten, but she pushes them away. Her son needs her strength more than ever. The phone rings again, this time breaking the silence in the apartment. Clara jumps slightly, the sudden noise making her heart race. She picks up the receiver, her hands shaking. It's Rachel again. Clara, I've been thinking, Rachel says, her voice soft but serious. Maybe you should consider moving. Get away from him from all of this. Clara feels a pang of guilt. She knows Rachel only wants to help, but she can't leave, not yet. I can't just run, Rachel. What happens to Ethan if I do? She replies, her voice shaky. She stands and walks over to the window, looking out at the quiet street below. If I leave, I'm giving him control. I can't let him win, not again. Rachel's silence on the other end speaks volumes. Clara hangs up, the decision weighing heavily on her shoulders. Moving would mean abandoning the life she fought so hard to build, but staying might lead to even more heartache. Clara walks into the kitchen, her movements slow and deliberate. She opens the cupboard, pulling out a box of cereal for Ethan, her hands still trembling from the conversation with Rachel. She sets the bowl in front of him, and for a moment, the world feels normal again. Ethan looks up at her, his eyes wide with trust. Is Daddy coming back? He asks, his innocent question piercing Clara's heart. She forces a smile, sitting down beside him. Not today, sweetie, she says softly, trying to keep her voice steady. Ethan nods, but Clara can see the sadness in his eyes. She reaches out, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead, the weight of their reality settling back on her shoulders. The silence stretches between them, but this time, Clara knows she must break it. We'll be okay, Ethan. I promise, she whispers, even though she doesn't know if she can keep that promise. But for him, she has to try. Clara sits at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee. Her mind drifts back to the days when she and James were happy. She remembers the laughter, the shared dreams, and the way he used to make her feel safe. But now, the man she once loved feels like a stranger, his betrayal cutting deeper than any wound. It wasn't just the affair, it was the lies, the manipulation, the way he made her doubt herself. Court battle, the endless accusations, the constant feeling that her life is being ripped apart. Clara can't breathe under the weight of it all. Yet, every morning, she gets up. For Ethan. She takes a deep breath, wiping away a tear before it can fall. The memories may haunt her, but she knows one thing for sure. She won't let her past destroy her future. Ethan's future. No matter the cost. Clara finds herself in the park with Ethan, watching as he runs and laughs with other children. She smiles softly, but it's strained. Every moment with him is a reminder of everything she's fighting for. And yet, the past keeps creeping in. Her ex-husband, James, used to bring Ethan to the same park. They'd sit on the bench together, talking about their dreams, their future. But now, Clara feels the absence of that partnership more than ever. Her eyes scan the faces around her, the memories of happy moments with James coming to the forefront of her mind. But as Ethan turns to her, his eyes full of joy, Clara knows the past doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is the child standing in front of her, his bright eyes full of hope. She squeezes his hand a little tighter, knowing she must protect him at all costs. That night, Clara stares at the phone in her hand. Her heart is heavy as she contemplates calling Rachel again. But it's not just to talk about the custody battle, it's to talk about something deeper. Clara's hidden past is catching up with her. Years ago, before she met James, she had a life of her own, one she ran away from. Secrets she thought were buried, forgotten. But now they're resurfacing. Rachel doesn't know about them. No one does. Clara's breath catches as she thinks about what revealing the truth might mean. The very thing she feared most, being judged, being misunderstood, could destroy everything she's worked for. But if she doesn't face it, it will continue to haunt her. The silence of the apartment presses in on her, and Clara knows she has to make a choice. Face the past, or let it tear apart her future. The decision is made. Clara picks up the phone and dials Rachel's number. "I have to tell you something," Clara begins, her voice shaky. "Something I've never told anyone." There's a long pause on the other end, but Rachel listens intently. Clara takes a deep breath, gathering the courage to speak the truth. "Before James, I had a different life. One that wasn't so clean. I made choices, bad choices, things I've never been proud of." Her heart races as the words spill out, but with each one, she feels a little lighter. When she finishes, the silence on the other end feels like an eternity. But then Rachel speaks. "Clara, you've come so far. This doesn't define you." Clara closes her eyes, letting out the breath she didn't realize she was holding. It's a relief, but there's still fear. Fear of what might happen next. Fear of losing everything, including herself. The phone call ends, and Clara places the receiver down with a heavy sigh. It feels like a weight has been lifted, but there's no time to rest. The next day, Clara faces James in court again. He walks in with his usual smug expression, as if he's already won. Clara doesn't back down. She faces him head-on, her determination renewed after her conversation with Rachel. She will fight for Ethan, no matter what it takes. The courtroom is filled with tension as the lawyers present their cases, but Clara knows that no matter how this ends, she's not going to let James win. This isn't just about custody anymore. It's about reclaiming her life, her dignity, and her future. She looks at Ethan, who's sitting quietly beside her, his innocent eyes filled with trust. Clara smiles at him, silently promising that she'll never give up. The courtroom feels cold, the air thick with anticipation. Clara sits with her lawyer, Samuel, her hands shaking slightly as she glances across the room. James sits on the other side, his demeanor smug, the same man who once promised a future together. Now, he's the adversary she must face. Samuel speaks calmly, trying to reassure her, but the weight of what's at stake makes it difficult for Clara to focus. She thinks about Ethan, his face etched in her memory, the only thing that keeps her going. The judge enters, and everyone rises. Clara's heart races as the proceedings begin, the tension palpable. Samuel begins his arguments, his voice steady but firm, and Clara listens, praying that her son's future will be secure. As the trial unfolds, every word spoken feels like it could change everything. Will her love for Ethan be enough to win the battle ahead? As the case progresses, Clara feels her nerves fraying. James' lawyer steps forward, presenting false accusations that strike at Clara's very core. Clara's emotional instability has made her an unfit mother, the lawyer claims. Clara can feel the blood drain from her face as the words hit her like a slap. Everything she's worked for, the sacrifices, the late nights, the constant effort to protect Ethan, is being undone in an instant. She turns to Samuel for support, but his expression is focused, reassuring. The lawyer continues, listing exaggerations about Clara's past. Clara's hands clench under the table, but she stands determined to fight back. She takes a deep breath, her voice faltering slightly as she speaks. "I'm not perfect, but I will always fight for my son. I would die for him." The courtroom goes still, the weight of her words sinking in. Clara's voice shakes, but she pushes forward. "He is my world," she says, her words full of emotion. The room feels like it's closing in on her, but she stands tall. The judge, a woman with glasses, listens intently, her expression unreadable. After Clara finishes, there's a long silence. The tension in the air is palpable as the judge writes something down. Clara can feel her chest tightening, but she remains composed, hoping that her words have had an impact. Finally, the judge speaks, announcing a short recess. Clara exhales sharply, relief and anxiety washing over her in equal measure. Samuel looks at her with a reassuring smile, nodding as if to say, "You've done well." Clara turns to Ethan, who is sitting quietly beside her. She smiles at him, though it's weak, knowing the battle isn't over yet. The recess ends, and the trial resumes. Samuel stands to make his counter-arguments, carefully addressing the false claims made against Clara. His voice is calm, measured, as he dismantles each point, painting Clara as the devoted mother she is. Clara is a loving, dedicated mother who would sacrifice anything for her son, Samuel states, his tone unwavering. Clara listens, her chest tight but her heart lifting as Samuel defends her. She watches as the opposing lawyer tries to interject, but Samuel continues with confidence, showing that the accusations have no merit. The judge listens carefully, taking in every word. Clara feels a wave of hope wash over her, but she knows the decision still lies in the hands of the judge. The emotional toll of the fight continues to weigh heavily on her, but she's not backing down. The closing arguments are made, and Clara feels the finality of the moment settling in. Samuel speaks passionately, his words echoing through the courtroom. Clara has been nothing but loving and dedicated to her son. She has never wavered in her commitment. Clara holds her breath, feeling the weight of the case pressing on her. The judge listens intently, her face unreadable. The gavel comes down, signaling the end of the day's proceedings, and Clara can't help but feel a sense of relief, but it's brief. Samuel leans over to her, offering a quiet word of support. "You did well, Clara," he says, but the anxiety in her eyes tells a different story. The real waiting begins now. She turns to Ethan, who is drawing quietly, unaware of the gravity of the situation. Clara smiles at him, her heart heavy, knowing the battle is far from over. Clara stands in her apartment, pacing as her phone rings for what feels like the 100th time. It's Rachel, her best friend, calling again. Clara hasn't answered, not yet. The betrayal weighs on her like a heavy stone. Rachel, the one person Clara trusted with her deepest secrets, had crossed a line. Clara's mind races with the conversation that led to this moment. Rachel had been feeding information to James, her ex-husband, making the custody battle more difficult than it already was. The truth crashes over her, stinging. She thought Rachel was her ally, but now it feels like everything Clara has fought for, her past, her present, and her future, is slipping away. With trembling hands, Clara answers the phone, her voice steady despite the anger building inside her. "We need to talk," she says. "Now." Clara and Rachel meet at a local cafe, a place they used to go to share everything. But today, there's an air of tension between them. Clara sits across from Rachel, her expression hardening as she watches her friend squirm under her gaze. Rachel tries to smile, but it's weak, forced. "Clara, I didn't mean for it to go this far," she says, her voice faltering. Clara's heart aches, but the betrayal cuts deeper. "You've been helping him," Clara states flatly, her voice low, but full of hurt. Rachel looks away, guilt evident in her eyes. Clara can feel the distance between them growing, like a chasm that can't be bridged. "I didn't want to, but James convinced me. He promised me that things would be better for Ethan," Rachel says, but Clara isn't buying it. "You should have told me," Clara replies. "You should have trusted me." The silence that follows is deafening. The conversation turns bitter as Rachel continues to justify her actions. Clara listens, but the words don't reach her anymore. "You don't understand, Clara. He said he would make things right. He said he could help us," Rachel pleads. But Clara shakes her head, unable to comprehend the betrayal. "He's been lying to me, Rachel. And you were part of it." Her voice cracks slightly as she speaks, the hurt finally breaking through. Rachel's eyes fill with tears. "I never wanted to hurt you," she whispers. Clara stands abruptly, the weight of the conversation too much to bear. She takes a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "I can't do this," she says, her voice firm, though her chest tightens with pain. "I need you to leave." Clara walks out of the cafe, the weight of the betrayal still heavy on her shoulders. She feels the need to be alone, to clear her mind, to think about what comes next. She walks through the streets, her mind racing, the city around her a blur. Everything she thought she could trust is slipping away. Her world is fractured. James' lies, Rachel's betrayal, and now it feels like she has no one left. But as Clara walks, she hears a soft voice call out to her. It's Rachel, following her, trying to explain. "Clara, please, I was trying to help," Rachel calls out. Clara stops, turning slowly to face her. "Help?" she repeats, her voice shaking with disbelief. "By lying to me?" The pain in Clara's voice is undeniable, and for a moment, Rachel looks as though she might collapse. But Clara won't let her. "I trusted you," she says quietly, before walking away, the distance between them now permanent. Clara returns home, her mind swirling with the events of the day. She opens the door to her apartment, the familiar space now feeling foreign. She moves through the apartment like a ghost, her footsteps echoing in the silence. The weight of the betrayal sits heavily in her chest. She had trusted Rachel, and now that trust is shattered. Clara sinks onto the couch, her hands trembling as she clasps them together in her lap. Ethan comes running into the room, his small face lighting up when he sees her. "Mommy, can we play?" he asks, his innocence a stark contrast to the storm inside Clara. Clara forces a smile, reaching out to take his hand. "Course, sweetie," she says softly. For a moment, everything feels right again. But Clara knows that the battle is far from over. Clara wakes up early, the first rays of sunlight creeping through the blinds, casting soft lines across the floor. She stands by the window, watching the world outside. Her thoughts are clouded. She knows she can't go on like this forever. She's been living in survival mode, just one step ahead of the chaos. Today, things need to change. Her phone buzzes, interrupting her thoughts. It's Olivia, her estranged sister, calling. Clara hesitates for a moment but then picks up. "Clara, I've been thinking," Olivia says. "I know we've had our differences, but I've been watching everything from a distance. And I think it's time I help you. I can't stand by and let you go through this alone." Clara listens, the words sinking in. An unexpected ally, someone who she thought had disappeared from her life, is offering a lifeline. But there's a catch. Can she trust Olivia after all these years? Clara meets Olivia in a quiet cafe, the place where they used to sit for hours, talking about everything. It feels surreal, almost as if no time has passed. Olivia, though older, is still the same. A bit more reserved, but her eyes show the same warmth. Clara, I'm sorry for everything. I should have been there for you. I've been watching, and I know you've been carrying this burden alone, Olivia says, her voice soft but genuine. Clara's heart twists as she listens. Her sister's words bring up memories of their past, the fights, the distance, but she can't ignore the fact that Olivia is here now, offering help. I can't do this without you, Clara says, her voice trembling slightly. But I don't know if I can trust you, Olivia. Olivia nods, understanding. I'll prove it to you. I'm here for good this time. Later that evening, Clara sits in her living room, staring at the phone. She feels torn. Olivia's offer of help comes with strings attached. She needs Clara to confront her past, the part she's been running from for so long. Clara's breath catches in her throat as she thinks about the long-buried wounds that have shaped her. She hasn't spoken to their parents in years, and the idea of reopening those old wounds terrifies her. But Olivia's words echo in her mind. You don't have to do it alone. Clara takes a deep breath and picks up the phone. Olivia, I'll do it, she says, her voice steady, though her heart pounds. I'll confront it, for Ethan. The decision is made. Clara knows that this is the first step toward healing, not just for herself, but for her son. The next day, Clara meets with Olivia again, this time at their parents' house. It's a place Clara has avoided for years, filled with memories of past pain. As they walk through the door, the smell of old wood and faint traces of their childhood linger in the air. Their parents' house is still the same, but it feels different now. Clara takes a deep breath, the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. Olivia leads her inside, and their mother, older and frailer, stands at the kitchen counter. Clara freezes for a moment, her heart racing. She hasn't seen her in so long, and the emotions are overwhelming. Mom, Olivia says softly. Clara's here. The words hang in the air as Clara steps forward, her mother turning slowly to face her. Clara opens her mouth to speak, but finds herself at a loss for words. The silence is thick. As Clara stands in front of her mother, she finally speaks. I've missed you, she says quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Her mother's eyes soften, but there is no immediate response. The years of silence hang between them. Clara's heart pounds, the tension in the room palpable. After what feels like an eternity, her mother steps forward, her arms opening as if to embrace her. Clara hesitates for a moment, but then steps into the hug, allowing herself to feel the warmth of her mother's embrace. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Clara closes her eyes, holding on to the moment, feeling the cracks in her heart begin to heal. For the first time in years, there's a flicker of hope. It's the beginning of something new. The courtroom is filled with tension as the final arguments are made. Clara, her heart pounding, watches as her lawyer Samuel delivers his closing statement with passion and conviction. Clara has done everything in her power to provide a safe and loving environment for her son, he says, his voice unwavering. The lies and manipulation from the opposing side are nothing but a distraction from the truth. Clara's thoughts race as she watches her ex-husband James, sitting across the room, his smirk never faltering. Every word Samuel speaks feels like it could be the turning point. The judge listens intently, her face unreadable, as the weight of the decision looms in the air. Clara has fought so hard for this moment, for Ethan's future, but she knows the outcome is still uncertain. The final pieces of the puzzle are being laid out, and the battle for her son's custody is almost over. As the final words are spoken, Clara feels like the air has thickened around her. The judge has heard everything, and now it's time for her to decide. The room falls into an uncomfortable silence, each moment stretching out longer than the last. Clara glances at Samuel, who offers a subtle nod of encouragement, though the uncertainty is written on his face. James' lawyer steps forward one last time, delivering a scathing remark aimed to discredit Clara's entire character. Your Honor, Clara's instability is evident, the lawyer says. She is unfit to raise a child. The words sting, and Clara feels her resolve waver, but she quickly steadies herself. She knows she can't let this man tear her down. She must stand strong for Ethan, for their future. The judge clears her throat and begins to speak, the verdict about to be delivered. The judge finally speaks. I have considered all the evidence, the testimonies, and the circumstances surrounding this case. The emotional toll this family has endured is undeniable. Clara holds her breath, her heart racing. However, the truth is clear. Clara is a loving and capable mother. She has shown resilience and determination in the face of adversity. A wave of relief washes over Clara, though she remains tense, waiting for the rest of the verdict. I'm awarding primary custody of Ethan to Clara, the judge announces, her voice steady. Clara's eyes fill with tears as the weight of the decision sinks in. She has won. Ethan will stay with her. Samuel smiles beside her, his expression one of triumph, but Clara only has eyes for her son. As Ethan looks up at her with wide, trusting eyes, Clara feels an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Clara walks out of the courtroom, her heart still racing but filled with a deep sense of victory. She feels the weight of the past few weeks, months even, lifting from her shoulders. The hallways are quieter than before, the chatter of the courtroom fading behind her. As she walks down the steps of the courthouse, she stops for a moment, looking out at the city beyond. This victory is for Ethan, but it's also for her. She has reclaimed her power, her future. Samuel joins her, offering a congratulatory smile. You did it, Clara, he says, his voice full of pride. Clara nods, her eyes still focused on the world ahead. We did it, she replies, her voice steady, confident. The weight of the battle is over, and now they can move forward. Ethan runs up beside her, his hand slipping into hers, and together they walk into the future. That evening, Clara and Ethan sit together on the couch in their apartment, the peaceful silence of their home surrounding them. Clara watches Ethan as he plays with his toys, a small smile tugging at her lips. The apartment feels warmer now, filled with a sense of calm that hasn't been there in a long time. As Ethan turns to her, his small face lighting up, Clara feels the weight of the last few months dissolve. She reaches over and brushes a lock of hair from his forehead, her heart swelling with love. We're going to be okay, Ethan, she whispers softly. And for the first time in a long time, she believes it. Their future is no longer uncertain. It's bright. Together, they are unstoppable. Clara walks out of the courthouse, her heart still pounding, but a sense of relief washes over her. The fight is finally over. She glances down at Ethan, his small hand tightly gripping hers, unaware of the gravity of the situation. As they walk down the steps, Clara feels the weight of the past few months lifting. It's been a long road. The emotional battles, the fear, the uncertainty. But today, she's won. The court has awarded her full custody of Ethan. It's not just a legal victory, it's an emotional one too. Her thoughts drift back to all the sacrifices she made, the lonely nights, the constant worrying. It wasn't easy, but she did it for Ethan. She looks down at him, her heart swelling with love and pride. We did it, kid, she says, her voice thick with emotion. We're going to be okay. Later that evening, Clara and Ethan sit in their apartment, the quiet of their home settling over them. The fight for custody is over, but there's a lingering weight that Clara can't shake off. As she watches Ethan play on the floor, a flood of emotions rises within her. She won, but at what cost? The emotional toll of the battle is deep, and the scars from the past will take time to heal. She looks at Ethan, his laughter filling the room, and for a brief moment, the past feels distant. It was worth it, she whispers to herself, but there's still a part of her that aches. She knows she has to rebuild, not just for Ethan, but for herself. She's stronger now, but the journey ahead is still uncertain. We'll be okay, she repeats, her voice a quiet vow to herself and to Ethan. The next day, Clara stands by the window, looking out at the city. The weight of the past few months still lingers, but something has changed within her. She's no longer just surviving, she's starting to live again. The freedom she fought for herself, and for Ethan, is within reach. She thinks back to all the moments of doubt, the fear that she wouldn't make it, but now, with the custody battle behind her, she knows she has the strength to face whatever comes next. She turns to look at Ethan, who is standing beside her, his small face full of wonder. "We're stronger now," she whispers, more to herself than to him. And for the first time in a long time, Clara feels like she has everything she needs to build a new life, a life full of hope and possibilities. That evening, Clara and Ethan sit down to dinner, the simple meal served in front of them. It's nothing extravagant, but it's perfect. Clara watches as Ethan eats, his small face lit up with happiness. She feels a deep sense of gratitude for the court's decision, for the second chance she's been given, and for the future she can now begin to rebuild. As Ethan finishes his meal, he looks up at her with a smile. "I love you, Mommy," he says, his words simple but full of meaning. Clara's heart swells with love as she reaches across the table to gently tuck a stray lock of hair behind his ear. "I love you too, baby," she replies, her voice filled with warmth. In that moment, Clara knows that the journey has been worth it. They've made it through the storm, and now they can begin to rebuild together. Later that night, Clara stands at the door of Ethan's room, looking in at him as he sleeps soundly in his bed. The room is quiet, the only sound being the soft rise and fall of his breath. Clara's heart aches as she watches him, her mind filled with the weight of everything they've been through. But now, she feels a deep sense of peace. They've made it through the hardest part. The road ahead won't be easy, but Clara knows they will face it together. She steps into the room, gently pulling the covers up around Ethan's small frame. She leans down and kisses him on the forehead, whispering softly, "We'll always be okay, Ethan, no matter what." As she walks out of the room, a sense of finality settles in. Clara knows that the battle is over, and now it's time to rebuild. A new life, a new chapter, with endless possibilities.